I have everything disassembled again for more welding and grinding. Got some more parts in. Got my new bearings for the neck. There's the bottom part and there's the top part. Comes with everything. Super ass cheap on Amazon Prime. $9.95, free shipping. Can't beat that. So the bottom part's the part that's tempting not to replace, because it seems like it's going to be hard to get out, but it's not. Take a punch. Yeah, pretty worn out and janky. Definitely replace them all. I'm gonna put this race back in before I paint it because I need this to clearance the forks. It's hard to find something that big around that'll fit to drive it in. You don't want to drive it on the bearing surface, of course, but they do provide like a little lip in here that's flat that you can hammer on, so it makes it kind of nice. So you can find something that fits that inside lip and hammer it up in there. Put a little bit of anti-seize on there. It comes out easy the next time. For the next guy, years in the future, that buys this thing, I'll be doing him a favor. Paying it forward right here. The way they've designed that fork, they have a collar that goes around the steer tube, and the collar makes it the right size for that bearing race on the bottom. See how high up that sticks? That's a good 3/8 of an inch lower I can make this front end. And it's all because of that bottom race. It sticks up. So I'm wondering if I can grind that down flat. And more in the fork issue department, when I pulled one of these bolts out, it kept the aluminum thread on the very end of the bolt and stripped the hole all the way out. So I had to drill it bigger and re-tap it. The tap ended up stripping out some of the threads, and I couldn't get the tap out. I got some of these cheapo $60 clip-on type handlebars from eBay, I think. I imagine they're for Honda Ruckuses, but this fork is... that doesn't even come close to going down there all the way. I'm gonna have to cut this steer tube off about yay much. I got the neck tube lowered down to the forks better. There's not that big old gap in there anymore. Put this on, and that will hold this. I put this on mainly just for cool guy racer boy looks. I don't imagine it's gonna do too much. I just got a whole new radiator, one of these small Chinese ones. It's smaller than the original one. It's probably 2/3 of the original size. But it's new, so maybe it'll work just as good. The fan will be controlled by its own internal temperature switch. It'll just come off and on as it needs. I just have to wire 12 volts to it. It's a small electric fan, so it shouldn't draw that much power. I'll probably use this temp switch here on the old one, the Burgman temp switch. It's got the cannon plug, and that cannon plug will probably be on my wiring harness. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this body work, I guess I'll call it. The one piece of body work, the battery. It's got 8 bazillion holes in it. Maybe I'll just leave the damn holes there. It's got a big hole in the front. It's a disaster. I probably should just buy a new one, but I don't think. The ones I've seen, none of them have this key switch that looks right. They all look different to me. I know there's a Honda and a non-Honda, and the ones online say it's for the non-Honda. Say it fits a Maddog, but that key switch does not look right on the one online. But yeah, they look like crap. They'll look worse after I'm done with them. Have to have some trick-looking 6-speed lug nuts. Found on these brake discs, they only come in 70mm hole spacing, 58 center, but you never know what you're gonna get. There's 68 and there's 70, but usually they're close enough that you can Dremel out. We get one of them in there tight, then we can see if the other one fits. I think this was 68. The Maddog standard is definitely 68. All my 17mm nuts were rounded over like this. They were using vice grips, maybe. I got these slick looking anodized titanium nuts for the end of everything. How tight do you make a steering stem? Here's the answer. It should fall to the stop, but not bounce. I put anti-seize on every Chinese bolt. This is when dissimilar metals create some kind of corrosion between them. Aluminum and steel, and China seems to have the worst issues with it. So anything I know I'm gonna be loosening and tightening for sure, like these handlebars to adjust them, or even just taking off sometime in the future, I coat them with an anti-seize just to keep those threads from sticking like they did in my fork. Sport bike style handlebars, clip-on style, they offer a lot of range of adjustment. This NCY throttle tube's kind of neat. You can use it for left or right. It has a lot of positions on it, so if you have too much cable slack or too little, you can make up for it with that. Oh, that was kind of a gimmick, but that thing definitely works. To loosen it up some, and when it's tight, it really dampens it. Looks cool though. It's like something a race bike would have. The hand grips are the giveaway to the other color. It's not actually Suzuki yellow. It's the Malossi racing colors. These little levers were probably the first thing I've ever bought on AliExpress that just fit. No issues at all. They bolted right on. Use these nice Nissan master cylinders off the Suzuki. They're good quality. Stainless black brake lines. The rear and front. Brake light somewhere back in there. This pipe specifically said Suzuki Burgman. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. It's not even close. Even if I go that route, if I come in front of the frame so I don't burn all my hoses, it looks like that. The air filter fit. The elbow is just too long to make that throttle cable work, so I'm gonna try it without it. Once I get this thing off the center stand, that carburetor will be a little bit lower. I think it may work. Seemed like a good enough place for the fuel pump. I know an exhaust pipe shouldn't have that sharp of a bend, but I think it should be all right. I want to try something different. I want to get this pipe to come out the back like that. This pipe wasn't long enough. This pipe that supposedly fit the Suzuki Burgman. I ordered a piece of pipe from eBay to go in between there. That's the same diameter on the inside as this is on the outside. I'll just slip them all together and weld them up. But I want to get that look. I think I'll deal with this license plate later. That may have to move. I think it looks better than having the pipe out here. This thing's already pretty wide. If I put a pipe out here, it's going to really get wide. Throwing this brace away, I have no idea what it's for. It fits right here because I'm going to use this to brace my pipe. My wacky front mounted brake. Guess it doesn't look too bad. So here's how you handle these foreign brakes. You want to get the brake mounted up. You want to get the caliper centered with the disc. Don't worry about the tire or anything else. Seam in the caliper centered with the rotor. And it doesn't hit the forks, luckily, on this side. Close. Once you get that, measure your spacing you need. Put a spacer in here to keep it centered right there. And I just take whatever washers and spacers and things I have. I get it perfect. When it tightens down, it doesn't bend the forks in, or they don't flex out or in. What I'll do is I'll take these spacers out of both sides, I'll measure them, and I'll have spacers cut perfectly for those, for the right and left. These spacers are just to get my measurement. I decided to keep the brake on this side. I could mount it on either side. The other side would be more appropriate because the bleeder would be up here. There is a bleeder over here also. And usually to bleed brakes, I usually take the calipers off. I set them on top of the disc and bleed them where this is the highest point. After I bleed them, I remount the caliper. I don't know how I ended up ordering double orders of this blue radiator hose. Stuff's expensive too. So yeah, I'm gonna put that stuff on. My old racing number.